Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Camp TCG. Got another deck profile for you today. Promise those live duels are coming. We're just trying to get a proper setup working for it so we can get them out and make them look good. Today, if you can't already tell by the title, Skystrikers. This is a deck that I kind of was like intrigued about for a long time. I fell out of the game right before this deck became meta, and then when I started building it, everyone was like, "Oh, hey, this is a meta deck," and I was like, "Oh," or it isn't. It was, but I had the core for a really long time. I had like 3 Ray and I had like 4 of the extract monsters, and I was like, you know what? Let's just build the deck. This is going second control, so it runs a lot of hand traps and it runs a lot of just basically cards that say to your opponent, "No, you don't get to play the game because I want to play the game." So keep that in mind if you're looking for like a really great control deck. Skystrikers is honestly one of the better control decks in the format right now, in my opinion. It's one of the top 3. Huh? So to start off with the monsters, you play 3 Ray. This is your starter card. I run like 10 cards just so I can open up this card because this card's that important. You normally you can put damage off, and then in battle phase you can use its effect, which is quick effect, tribute it, special summon a Skystriker. So in theory it's a 3K beater, but it also has the effect where one of your Skystriker monsters leaves the field. You can special summon this card from the graveyard, and this is on your opponent's turn. So if you end your turn with like a Shizuku, this comes back from the grave, then you contribute it off, make another Shizuku, and search on end phase. I did that a ton at my locals the other day. Card was awesome. And I play 1 Rose. Every profile that I've seen runs 2. I really don't think it's necessary. Like, yeah, it's nice because if you're facing Dragoons, then the chance of seeing it is a lot higher. But honestly, if I had a choice to open either Rose or Ray, I'd much rather open Ray because Rose can only special summon itself when you summon Skystriker monster. Whenever you summon a Skystriker monster, this can special from hand. But it also has the effect, if a monster from your opponent's extra monster zone leaves the field, then you can special summon this card from graveyard, and then negate. This is a non-target negate, so that's why it's a great Dragoon out, is because you get rid of your opponent's board, summon this, and then you just negate Dragoon and then attack over it. And for hand traps, triple Ash Blossom. It's just like the best hand trap because it hurts every single deck. Every single deck relies on searching, and this just says you don't get the search. New card that came into this format that didn't think would really see play for a while, Ghost Bell. A lot of decks this format rely on graveyard effects. This hits BK Fire, this hurts Dinosaurs, this hurts Drytron. This is great against Drytrons, and it also hits Virtual World. So like a lot of the big decks right now, it just kills them. And then I'm playing the Gamma Driver package because I just like it. Yeah, it's once per turn, but negate and destroy something like this just I can't tell you how many Anacondas I've hit with this card. Like every time an Anaconda hits the board and I have this, I'm just like, no. And then for the last of the monsters, I played 1 Pankratops. Reason I'm maining it is because I'm not playing 2 Rose. If Pankratops wasn't in here, it'd be 2 Rose, but honestly, I like opening Pankratops over Rose because you get this, it's a 26 beater, and so you attack something and then you tribute it and pop a monster. Like this card's great, and I love it. Then for spells, I play 3 of the Field Spell because it's a pseudo searcher. You target a card you control. And then you excavate top 3 if there's a Skystriker card. You add it to your hand, and then you destroy the card. So you can target something like your Ray and use its quick effect, or you can target one of the spell cards that's also quick effect. And right before they would get destroyed, you can activate them in turn, getting a free card and also activating your effect, which is awesome. Plus, this card is essentially 3 more copies of Ray because if it leaves the field, you special summon the Skystriker straight from your deck. So this synergizes really well with the other field spell that I run. Then 3 Widow Anchor. This is the best best spell card we have right now. Target opponent's monster and negate its effects, and then if you have 3 or more spell cards in your graveyard, you take control of it instead. That's the whole gimmick with Skystrikers, is they put a ton of spell cards in graveyard, and then they get bonus effects based on that. But this one's really good. Shark Cannon. This one is a 3 of, in my opinion. Like, in other formats, I'd probably only run 2 or even 1 of this, but right now in this format, it's so graveyard reliant. Like, this is awesome. Plus, you can target a link monster in graveyard and you can link climb with it. I love that about Shark Cannon and Widow Anchor, is the fact that you can use these to link climb. And this, against Eldritch, you just be like, oh, banish your Golden Boy, or if it's later in the game, you just say, oh, how about I have your 3,500 defense monster. It's kind of awesome. Then I played 2 Afterburners. It's just a removal, and then if you have 3 more spells in your graveyard, you pop a spell and trap card. So, it's just nice for the removal. And I play 1 Hornet Drones and 1 multi-roll. Multi-roll is insane, and so is Hornet Drones. This is a starter card if you open it. So, like, it works if you open Ray or you open Hornet Drones. It just works out. You also can run Hercules Base or Eagle Boosters and Jamming Waves, but I don't have Jamming Waves, and I just feel like Eagle Boosters and Hercules Base are just bricks. Then I played 3 Mystic Mine. This card is not as much of a win con for the deck as it used to be. Like, back in Dragon Link format, you activated this card and you won, but with the slower control format that we're in, and with how much removal and spell and trap card hate that's going around, honestly, this card is nowhere near as strong as it was. Like, this card, in my opinion, is super weak right now, but it really just helps out Skystrikers because you activate it, and if you activate it, you're usually buying yourself at least 2 to 3 turns to draw into something, so you can then, in turn, disrupt your opponent's board. That's the main reason why I run this. Plus, your opponent has to waste resources to remove this card. Like, I know it's a degenerate card, and it's just like, doesn't let your opponent play the game, but honestly, in the format that we're in, this card really isn't that bad to out. Plus, with how slow the decks are, they can just, like, summon 1 monster and be like, okay, Mystic Mine's gone, and then pass to you, and you can't really do much to kill them, so it doesn't hurt. 3 Desires. This card is like important for the deck. You can run the Spellbook engine, but I don't like the Spellbook engine. That engine, honestly, in my opinion, was way too bricky for me. I tried it, didn't like it. This, like, I like to draw cards, but I don't like to banish them. Like, so many times a day, I'd banish, like, 2 of my Mystic Mine, or I'd banish 2 of my Shark Cannons, or 2 of my Widow Anchors, or even banish both my Afterburners, and, like, I'd hit, like, my important cards, and then I'd only have, like, 1 or no copies left in my deck, and it really just would hurt me in the end, which sucked. But this card's just super important. And then Avarice. This is a 2-of for me because you cycle through your extra deck so fast with this deck. You have to have this, or you'll just lose because you have 3 turns with your extra deck, and then you don't have an extra deck anymore. And then you have to just rely on drawing and searching out your spell cards at that point, and then that's not super reliable. You rely on your extra deck to get your engine going. Then I run 1 Upstart because it's just a free spell card. 1 Rhoda. It's just another free spell card, and it's 7th copy of Ray. Terraforming, you can search out Area 0, but most of the time you're searching out Mystic Mine. And then this is just a 4th copy of Mystic Mine, essentially. And it also just, like, locks other decks out of using filled spells, which helps you out. Then for traps, I play 3 Solemn Strike. One of the best traps in the meta right now. This card is insane. I highly recommend picking up copies of this card before it jumps in price, because it's already going up. This card's just insane right now. They waste their resources to make a boss monster, you say no to it. And I'm playing 2 There Can Only Be One because this is like my backup plan for it when they get around my Mystic Mine. if they get around it, it's when they get around it. So I use this as a contingency plan because I activate Mystic Mine. As soon as it goes, activate this, and then I just lock them out of having multiple, and then they have to waste another resource on removing it. So that's like the biggest focus of this deck, is make your opponent waste resources, and then the ones that they do use, you just stop them from using them. That's it for main deck. I think it's like 41, 42. It's not bad at all. Then for the extra deck, you play 3 Suzuku. You make this search on end phase. This is always the card you're ending on. And it's also really good because for every spell card in your graveyard, your opponent's monsters lose 1,000 attack. So late game, make this. You can usually just beat over stuff like really easily. Then 3 Kagari. This one is like the best one because you activate Widow Anchor, make this, add Widow Anchor back, activate Widow Anchor again, and it's insane. On top of, you can recurse Shark Cannon, so you can banish 2 monsters out of their graveyard, and this card's insane. 3 Hayate. This is the way you're dealing damage, and it's your starter link. What you do is you get Ray on the board, you go into this, attack them, you send a card, and then you add it with Kagari, so you got 1 search, and then you use Suzuku on end phase for a second search. So you essentially get 2 free searches almost every single turn that you like get this off. Plus, it's just direct damage of 15. That just grind game, like activate Mystic Mine, get this, win. And then I play 1 Kaina, 1 Zeke because they come up. This is like stuff can't be destroyed. You banish it, and then like if they can OTK you and they destroy your Link monster, then you just say, okay, destroy it, Special Ray, Tribute Ray, Kaina, make your monster not be able to attack and stop OTKs. Like, this card saved my ass so many times. That's it for the Skystriker monsters. Then I played 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Unicorn. I'm playing this over the Charmers because I honestly like this engine more. Being able to just spin a card back and being able to just like if they activate Imperial Order or just something weird anti-spell, basically you just say, oh, make this. Okay, now what? So it just helps with those problematic cards. And I'm playing 1 Avermax because the amount of times that I use my opponent's monster just to make this with Widow Anchor is hilarious, and I love it. And Boral Sword because I don't have access code. But if I had access code, that would be access code because that ends games by itself, and it's just really good. And then I'm playing 1 Synchro, Psyflame, Lord, Omega. I got Omega off. I got Gamma off a lot on my turn, so I was just like, oh, I'll make Omega, and now I have a 28 beater that constantly comes back. And it doesn't hurt the deck because it doesn't stay in your main monster zone for very long, which I love. Then for side, it's really down to localist preference. There's a lot of Drytron, there's a lot of Virtual World, and there's a lot of Dino, and PK Fire at my locals, so that's how I tailored it. So 3 Lancia, this is, in my opinion, the 3rd best hand trap in the game. It goes Ash, Ghost Bell, and then this, because this hurts like everything, which is awesome. 2 Droll, because there's those weird decks that it will hit every once in a while, and I just like, oh, I'll just put this in and shut down that one weird deck. This kills Zodiac. If you have this, you just let them make their Borbo, do the 500, and then they climb into Zeus, and then you just say, okay, Nibiru the Zeus away, and then you just take out like half their extra deck, which is, I did that so many times with this card. And then I'm maining 2 Ghost Ogre because it comes up for just those weird cards that, like, I sided this in against people that I knew had, like, Imperial Order and stuff like that, and I knew I wouldn't have my Spell and Trap card removal because I don't run inherent Spell and Trap card removal in the deck. So I'll just side this in, and those weird cards, it sometimes hits. Like, that's the big thing with Ghost Ogre and Droll. It's like those weird decks, but these will shut down those weird decks. Then my Spell and Trap card, Hate, is Twin Twister and Harpies. I play Twin Twister over Cosmic Cyclone because this hits 2, and it can put 2 spell cards in the graveyard, so it's really good. And then I sided the 1 Hercules base. Only reason it's in here is because I wanted 15 cards, And I wish it would have been a 3rd dimensional barrier, because side this in against Drytron and you win. That's all I really have to say about dimensional barrier. Is you side that in against Drytron or Virtual World, you just call Xyz, or you call Ritual, and you win. So yeah, that's the entire deck. It's nothing super fancy. It's really just a great control budget deck. Like, if you're looking for something that's more on the budget side, but it's also just want a good control deck that can lock your opponent out, I highly recommend this deck. It's super cheap. All the cards are under $5 or less, except for Rose. Rose is like $10. It's the only one that's really expensive. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. As always, comment, like, subscribe. Normal YouTube shenanigans. And as always, get your game on.